thank you very much, all of you, to be here. This is a great occasion. Those of us in this room are very proud supporters of the Indianapolis 10-Point Coalition, and we're honored to have in our presence today the United States Attorney General, who is here to participate in a discussion to understand what's working here at the Indianapolis 10-Point, and recognizing that we have a near goal to spread the Indianapolis 10-Point across the state of Indiana. But this is a program that works in stopping youth gun violence in our state and in our nation, and we want to make sure that we take this model program and we push it into every community that has a need. And I think the Attorney General's presence here will go a long way to allowing us to move in that direction. Before we start the meeting, it's my pleasure and honor to introduce to you the United States Attorney General Jeff Sessions, who will make some brief public remarks, and then we will get along with the meeting. General Sessions.
Well, thank you, General Hill. It's good to be with you. It's a pleasure to be here. You were in Washington recently and said you've got to come to Indianapolis and talk about this project. And so I am so honored to do that, and appreciate all of you that have participated in it. You've had 14 years of service as a prosecutor, and I want to congratulate you on receiving more votes in your last election than anybody in Indiana history. That is a remarkable achievement. That's by any standards a good thing, and certainly the people here are grateful for your work. I know that you do a lot of work as a mentor, and all of you to inspire young people to live out their God-given potential. Thank you for that as well. That goal is at the heart of what the Indianapolis 10-Point Coalition is all about. And I'd like to thank Reverend Harrison for hosting us here at his church. Reverend, we appreciate your hospitality and good Methodist tradition. Amen, right? Amen. And we are that.
Y'all Baptists can clap.
There's more you than our of us. It always has been that way in my neighborhood. So we appreciate your hospitality and leadership. Reverend Rivers, thank you for your leadership. I was just telling him, I knew you'd started from the Boston idea, and when I came to the Senate almost 21 years ago, I was given the job of being chairman of the Juvenile Justice Subcommittee of the Judiciary Committee. And so we were trying to figure out how to do things better, and we learned about Boston and your nightlight thing to deal with young people. And it was one of the most successful projects, I think, in the country for juvenile justice. I still believe it works, and I hope they're still doing it. Yeah. But basically what they would do, if a young person got in trouble, in the past they would put them on probation, and nobody paid them any mind. They just did whatever they wanted to, and nobody checked up or anything. And so they got a police officer to partner with a probation officer, and if the curfew was at 7 o'clock, they knocked on the door at 7 o'clock. And if the young person wasn't home like he was supposed to be, they would do some sort of discipline for it. And the result was the violent crime by young people plummeted.
That's right. For 2 years, no homicides.
And after a high...
Then it has plummeted, and it's consistently been low.
So this is a kind of smart on crime things that I know work. Some people think it's all hopeless, you can't do anything about it. It's like the tide rising in the ocean, just give up. But I don't believe that's true. I think that's one of the most important things for all of us to recognize, that we can impact crime and public safety. So first, before we get started, I do want to ask for a moment of silence. Our hearts are broken this morning. Last night, 26 people were killed and 20 injured at the First Baptist Church in Sutherland, Texas. The pastor and his wife lost their 14-year-old daughter. In total, over a dozen children were lost yesterday as they prayed in the pews. The loss is as tragic as it is unimaginable. So I would ask us all to remember them in prayer, and may the Lord's blessing and comfort be with them, with the families, and all those in the church, and may that terrible event be an inspiration for us to do better in our lives. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
So I want to thank all of you for meeting with me today. I understand that Vice President Pence visited with you in August, and I want to echo his praise for this program that he said at the time saves lives and works miracles every day. I think that's a good way to say it. Vice President Pence, good Indianian that he is one of the finest people I've had the opportunity to know in political life, and he's graces the office of Vice Presidency, and he's got a good and decent person with a faith commitment that's very strong, as you all know. Also, just a few days ago, had your former senator, my former colleague Dan Coates, come to the Department of Justice to address our veterans in the Department of Justice on Veterans Day. So we got a couple of, he's the Director of National Intelligence. Indiana's doing pretty good in the nation. In addition to your fabulous Attorney General, who's already being known all over the country. I really do appreciate Curtis and his instinct. He knows what's right, what's wrong. He knows how the world really works, and he's got leadership skills and the ability to make us all move. And thank you for making me move over here and talk to you. Last year, the ministers in this room negotiated a truce in a gang war, ending a cycle of violence and revenge. That's happening too much in the country today. In fact, my view is a substantial part of the increase in murders and homicides is gang and disrespect and anger among various groups. I don't know how much of the increase is that, but it's more than a little bit on a percentage basis. Because of your example, your powerful preaching, your safety walks, and your patrols during high crime parts of the week, people have given up lives of crime and instead have taken good jobs at local businesses like Reese Welding so that they know they don't have to sell drugs to get by. You've had the courage to say, in the words of St. Paul, I will show you a more excellent way.
Amen. Amen.
After a 2-month period with 4 homicides, you have helped bring about 2 years straight with 0 homicides in the Butler-Tarkington neighborhood, even as the rest of the city was setting homicide records. I'm told that in 3 neighborhoods you serve, Butler, Tarkington, Crown Hill, and United Northwest, you have helped reduce homicides by 85%. That is excellent. Those are amazing results, really. And you can't expect to see that around the country everywhere, but it is particularly noteworthy. It doesn't happen, it almost never happens that much. And for these accomplishments, you received the FBI's Community Leadership Award this spring. FBI SAC Jay Abbott I was with him earlier this morning, and he told me about your work, how proud he was of it, and he knew I was coming here. So I'm really impressed with what the coalition has accomplished, and I believe it could be a model for cities around America. On behalf of the President, President Trump, and the Department of Justice, I'm honored to be here with you. The President recognizes the importance of your work. He is a strong supporter of law enforcement, and he said repeatedly every neighborhood in this country deserves to be safe, and not just a few. So I would submit to you that your work is only becoming more important. It took decades. Really, in my whole tenure, beginning in the early 80s, changes occurred in the criminal justice system, and it began to reduce crime in America. A few years ago, we had half the murders that we did in 1981 when I became United States Attorney. After the last 20 years, crime rates have steadily declined. But over the last 2 years, the declines have been replaced by sharp increases, especially in violent crime and especially in homicide. The violent crime rate is up nearly 7%, and the homicide rate has increased 20% in the last 2 years. So this could eat away the progress that we made from better policing. Better policing is a big part of it. Community activities and so forth. We actually had a decline in drugs and drug use and significantly, I think, during that period, and that's going in the wrong direction today. So I believe that the dangerous, bad trends we are seeing, and I'm afraid it's not a blip, and we need to act smartly now, or we could see a reversal of the gains we made, and that would be a tragedy. I feel it very deeply. Despite your hard work and many successes, Indiana has not been immune to increasing violent crime, just like the rest of the country. The homicide rate increased 40% statewide in Indiana since 2012. That's a lot of increase, as well as more than 50% across the metro Indianapolis area. These are unacceptable, really, statistics. The President recognizes this is an important issue. He's addressed it. As soon as I was sworn in as Attorney General, he sent me an executive order. And it was pretty simple, actually. It said, reduce crime in America, you know. It didn't really tell us exactly how, but that's my job, I guess. But I think we can do it. We at the Department of Justice embrace that goal, as I've told them all. We're going to work at that, and we're going to work with our local and state law enforcement. Our police and sheriffs represent 85% of all law officers in America. The federal government can't cure crime, but working at an even better relationship than we've had in the past. And I think we've had good relationships between federal and state, but it needs to reach an even higher level, and I think we can make progress. Our foundational strategy to reduce crime in America is the reestablishment of a modernized Project Safe Neighborhoods, or PSN program. That's will be our priority. And I think you'll agree it's in harmony with what the 10-Point Coalition is about. PSN encourages United States Attorney's offices to work with the communities they serve to develop customized crime reduction strategies that meet your neighborhood. This is a proven model. It's been done before. One study showed that by this professor, who's an impressive guy, he said instead of going up over its first 7 years, PSN reduced violent crime overall by 4.1%. And he said, in his opinion, you basically would have seen a 10% increase in crime, and that the areas that used the program most effectively, it had a reduction of up to 42%. So that's significant. We've never seen that kind of thing before. Our people that worked on this for months, I read it, and I told them straight up, I am so impressed with this. Whatever the crime rate's going to be in the future, it's going to be lower if we can execute this partnership, community-based crime-fighting program. Our goal is to make every community safer, and especially the most vulnerable communities. We will not leave anyone behind. Our goal is less crime, less criminality, less violence. And that means we can have fewer people in prison. Heather McDonald at the Manhattan Institute has given us some astounding statistics. I think it's indisputable based on sound data that nearly 900 additional African Americans were killed in 1 year, 900 more in 2016 than in 2015. 900. The total number of black homicide victims were 7,881, which is more than the number of white victims during that period. At the same time last year, we saw a 61% increase in the number of law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty because of a felony attack, and on average more than 150 officers were assaulted in the line of duty every day. I think those numbers may be getting a little better this year, but last year was a troubling year, no doubt about it. And I would also note that the number of people that police officers had assaulted or killed in the line of duty, rightly or wrongly, continued downward for the third consecutive year. So I do believe police are getting better and better at their work. And so this is all why your work is so vital. Proactive, community-based policing is what is required. Proactive, before the crime occurs. Community-based policing, where we focus on the individuals that many of you know to be the most dangerous. I was just in New York last week to meet with the incredible New York Police Department. They've done amazing work. They study every neighborhood. And they had this big meeting, and the top commissioners called in the precinct officers, about 10 or 15, and they went over what was happening in their neighborhoods. And they said there was a housing project that had too much crime in it. They had pictures on the walls of people in their rap sheets who were causing most of the trouble. And they were asking these officers why they weren't, what were their plans to catch them and stop them. And so they've driven down the murder rate substantially in New York. It's really rather amazing to me how a big department can be that effective. In Mobile, in our good city of Mobile, so I was asked out, we prosecuted a criminal gang. We went out to the community. They asked us to come out there afterwards. Some of them had murdered people that we'd convicted in federal court. And they talked about their neighborhood. And we had a town meeting. The mayor came. The sheriff came. The chief of police, great African-American, former Detroit major. And so we talked about what to do about it. And we broke up in 10 groups. And they breakout sessions and discussed it, and they were all saying, clean up this neighborhood. We've got too much trash and burned out houses. It used to be different from this. I played in the neighborhood. Our children played out here. Now it's not safe. There are drug dealers everywhere. This is, and the mayor said, I got it. We're going to clean up. We're going to cite these people who are not fixing their houses up in their place. And the chief said, we'll put a precinct in there. They wanted more police officers. So he said, we'll put a precinct in there. We'll put a mobile police center in there. And they cleaned up the neighborhood. Property values went up. Crime went down. And it didn't take any real new money. It was just existing resources. The federal housing people were there. They promised they put duplexes in vacant lots instead of building a big housing unit. I just thought it was, I still go by there. That was many years ago. And that neighborhood is so much better. And people, seniors who bought their houses, worked hard all their lives. The houses were, at that time of value, nobody would buy them because it wasn't in a neighborhood that you could live safely in. And the whole thing got better. I just know that we can do this. So we will not concede a single block or a single street corner in the United States to lawlessness and crime. It's not moral to do so. Today I'm announcing a Violent Crime Reduction Coordinating Committee to effectively coordinate these efforts across the entire Department of Justice and ensure that we're doing our best every day to support your efforts. And so to everyone in this room, our friends and partners, thank you for your hard work to serve and protect this community, to alter people's courses of their lives so that they don't end up in jail, end up murdering somebody, doing damage that not only destroys someone else's life but their own lives. It's a noble and high calling to work every day to ensure public safety and security of the people of the United States, and I appreciate what you do. I'm proud to stand with you in what you are doing. God bless you all.